Day to all of you. I'm Mary Rose Fiedalan, and now I will be discussing the continuation of our report, which is the social literacy. So now we will have to move on the issues that are commonly encountered in exhibiting social literacy. Children develop their social literacy is intrinsically matter and is not something that can be easily traced in a linear or developmental fashion. In this process, children became human through social interaction and learned through social practices, both implicit and explicit. Ibig sabihin nito, nakikipagsalamuha muna ang mga bata sa kanilang kapwa sa pamamagitan ng iba't ibang activities bago nila tuluyang maunawaan kung ano ba talaga ang meaning ng sociability. Kumbaga, mayroong progressivism dito, or which is the learning by doing or learning through experience. There are two distinct ways of answering a question in which children learn to live socially with each other and with adults. The first one is the normative and communal approach, or from their culture, children learn customs that provide them with a guide to act in ways that minimize conflict. Dahil daw sa kanilang kultura, yung kinamulatan nilang pamumuhay ang naging instrumento para mabawasan nilang ma-engage sa mga conflict. For example, sa kultura nating mga Pinoy, hindi ba't likas tayong magalang, and using po and opo is one of the example on how to emphasize our respect to the elders. Minsan kahit humaharap tayo sa sitwasyon na kailangan nating mga tuwiran sa mas nakakatanda, using po at opo can abridge the misunderstanding because of showing respect in a way on how a child speaks to his or her elders. Isa pang example dito ay yung kapag kabilang ka or lumaki yung bata sa pamilya ng sa religious family. Dahil alam niya na yung good and bad, yung evil na hindi agawin niyang pamantayan yung sa buhay na ay mali ito, hindi ko ito gagawin kasi nadepende siya sa law of God, sa inaturo na moral ng simbahan o ng religion. The second view is pragmatic and individualistic. The social order of children is created by explicit and implicit ways, agreements entered into by self-seeking individuals to avert the worst consequences of their selfish actions. Kung dun sa normative view, children are persuaded of the moral force of acting socially through their voluntary association with others, both in their immediate circle, such as the family, and in the wider community. For example, through membership of church or club, the child in this normative view will not only know the correct behavior but will perform the role without any need for regular conscious reference to the rules governing it. Dito naman sa pragmatic and individualistic view, ina-emphasize yung moral worth of the individual. Individualism involves the right of the individual to freedom and self-realization. Kumbaga ay nare-realize nila yung mali nila at yung consequence ng kanilang selfish instincts. Ito ay ayon kay Arthur Davison and Stowe, 2000. Teaching social literacy in school is not as easy as it appears to be due to subjective standards of morality and inherent human capacity to judge and make excuses. Una, yung subjective standards of morality. It is the natural outcome of postmodern philosophies is that truth and morality are considered subjective and open to individual interpretation. This can be seen in the current culture, where actions and behavioral patterns that were once considered bad have now become acceptable, so much so that many now consider them to be even good. When the standard of measure between good and bad changes, this gives us sense to change as well as and open the gates to all kinds of abuse. This in effect pulls the rug out from under in any all attempts at true justice and equitability, say, since they themselves rely on a fixed moral standards. Interestingly, many of those who insist on a subjective moral standard will be the first to demand for a fixed moral standard when they themselves fall victim to a subjective morality's inevitable outcome. While, on the other hand, in human nature, while we would oft like to believe that people are inherently good, but experience has taught us na yung inherent goodness ng humanity minsan ay hindi na natin napapaniwalaan kasi hindi na minsan totoo. May mga tao kasing iba-ibang ugali, mabait minsan pero mas lamang yung bad side, suplada or suplado pero nakatago lang yung kabaitan at makikilala mo lang pag nakaklose mo na sila. Kumbaga, sometimes it is there, often it is not. We are quick to champion the cause of moral uprightness, justice, and equity, but balk when our words and action come under their scrutiny. In other words, we insist that others be judged according to a fixed moral standard but invoke a subjective one when our own behavior is questioned. Minsan gusto nating itama yung iba, ngunit nagiging denial na tayo kapag yung behavior or action na natin yung itinatama. We demand justice when we perceive ourselves to be victim of wrongdoing, but we surround ourselves with excuses when we do wrong. We insist that others treat us equitably, but are reluctant when treating others with equity costs more than we expected. For example, sa klase, gusto mo ng patas na grading system kapag alam mong unfair yung teacher at isa ka sa nakakaranas ng sistema na pagiging unfair niya. Pero pag alam mong favor or favor sa yung guro, okay lang sa'yo kahit hindi na siya fair sa iba. May ganyang case kasi minsan and it's not a good nature of socialization. Today, students have grown up with the internet that they have become inseparable from their gadgets to ensure their academic and career success. Lalo na ngayon na online class, talagang parang hindi na mapuknat yung mga estudyante ngayon sa kanilang gadget. Kasi kailangan na yun kasi nasa 21st century learning na tayo. Dito yung ayon kay Blake 2017, offers helpful reminders to young professionals in terms of social skill in the modern age. This situation underscores the importance of teaching students in what could be called social literacy to ensure their academic and career success. Una yung situational awareness in the workplace. While casual office attire has become the norm in many offices, job interviews typically require more formal dress and behavior to demonstrate a level of respect. Stories prevail of young adults showing up to interviews in casual clothing. Yung iba pag napunta sa mga job interviews, naka-casual na damit, minsan pambahay, or naga-text using cellphone habang may job interviews. O kaya or even bringing their parents with them, ay hindi naman dapat yun yung hindi ethical yun na gawin. Such behavior demonstrates a lack of situational awareness about what is appropriate to do in different social circumstances. While college classrooms or the actual office atmosphere may allow for a more casual dress code, students need to be taught what is socially acceptable in terms of dress and behavior for them to stand out about their colleagues. An ability to read social situation illustrates strength to employers quickly picking up on a client's mood or expectation in various business or cross-cultural situation can be the difference between success and failure. So let's move on to the social intelligence in technological communication. Text speak and technology use have affected many young people's ability to communicate. While email has deformalized much of the communication process, students still need to ensure their writing denotes respect and provides enough context for professor for future employers to readily respond. In addition, text speaks has reduced students' ability to communicate using correct grammar. Through studying particular communication genres and what they demand, students can learn more about what individual situation demands in terms of the formality of communication. Dapat technological literate din tayo, hindi lang kung paano bihasa tayong gumamit ng technology, kundi paanong formal na makipag-communicate using technology. Hindi porket hindi natin nakikita face-to-face yung teacher natin, casual na natin siyang kakausapin through chat or email. We should address them properly. For example, if a professor signs an email with Dr. Smith, this is a fairly good indication that he expects to be addressed as such and not informally by his first name. Dapat tawagin nating doktor na kung siya ay doctorate na, ay di doktor. Dr. Smith, Dr. London, ganyan. Pangalawa yung social intelligence in traditional communication. While email has taken over as the primary method of communication, traditional modes of discourse still exist. Naga-exist pa rin yung mga dating way of communication, which is the traditional communication. For example, many employers still expect cover letters in additional to resumes, and the lack of a thank you note for a gift is often perceived as more than a simple social oversight. An ability to craft these types of document illustrates an understanding of social expectation and denotes a level of respect or appreciation. Marami pa din kasing mas prefer yung handwritten letters. For example, ako, mas gusto ko yung minsan yung handwritten kasi nagpapakita ng effort and iba yung ambience kapag yung sulat is handwritten despite of the emergence of technological tools nowadays kung saan mas uso na yung chat at email na lang. While not related to the traditional education canon, learning to properly write a cover letter or business letter or a thank you card not only teaches students that these documents exist and are often necessary but also shows them how to craft such documents, saving them time and energy in the future. And let's move on to the emotional intelligence or EQ. Kung merong IQ, merong EQ. And emotional intelligence can bring about maintaining a healthy and purposeful relationship with others that may be defect a socially literate person. Ayon ito kay Goldman 1996, he defines emotional intelligence as the ability to recognize, understand and manage own emotions, and recognize and understand and influence the emotion of others. It is being aware that emotion can drive behavior and impact people positively and negatively, and learning how to manage those emotions, both one's own and others, when under pressure, especially in times of giving and receiving feedbacks, meeting tight deadlines, dealing with challenging relationship, not having enough resources, dealing with change and experience setbacks and failures. Kunyari, dapat alam mo kung paano mo i-manage yung emotion mo. Hindi ka pwedeng magalit agad-agad, na hindi ka pwedeng maging aggressive. Kunyari, sa pakikipagpalitan mo ng, kunyari, sa teacher, pakikipagpalitan mo ng usapan. Kasi pwedeng ma-misunderstood yun ng kausap mo, yung kunyari iba yung tone of yung sa text speak mo. Pwedeng iba yung ma-misunderstood ka ng teacher. Kung nape-pressure ka sa deadline or nag-deal ka sa challenging or magulong relasyon ngayon, or wala kang, kunyari sa online class, wala kang nahihirapan kang mag-cope up kasi wala kang enough resources at ikaw ay nag-a-adjust pa rin, dealing with changes and experiencing setbacks and failures. But there are strategies on how to enhance emotional intelligence. Ayon pa rin kay Goldman 1995, lay down ways of enhancing emotional intelligence in the light of understanding and managing emotion that teachers need to know and understand. Number 1, think about feelings. A person has to be sensitive to one's and others' feelings to come up with the right manner of approach or appropriate responses. For example, a teacher has to be aware of his or her student's background or situation that may trigger negative emotion. Sa ganoong paraan, malalaman niya kung ano yung tamang pag-approach sa bata kapag may ganitong sensitive issues na nararanasan sa klase. Number 2, pause. Taking a moment to stop and think before doing anything to refrain from resorting to an unsound decision at the height of anger. Yun yung paggalit ka. For example, at the peak of your anger with a student who commits violation, a teacher may gently pause for a while and take a moment of silence to rethink and cool down before jumping to any decision in order to avoid untoward consequences. Number 3, strive to control one's thoughts. This is controlling the reaction to emotions by focusing on one's thoughts in harmony with goals and values. For example, dito ay, instead of overreacting to a certain incident or situation in class, try to control negative thoughts para mas makita natin na as a teacher kung ano ba talaga yung nararanasan ng ating mga estudyante. What's the reason why they behave like that? Kasi mayroon namang dahilan sa likod ng bawat action. As such, try to find beauty in all things defined despite not so good circumstances that may happen. Number 4, benefit from criticism. Criticism, even not delivered in favorable way, it is an opportunity to learn and it gives idea on how other thinks about you. For example, when a senior teacher gives negative feedback on your work, instead of taking it personally against him or her, yung instead na magalit ka sa kanya, gratefully accept it with humility and appreciation. Just think that it is for your improvement na ay sa sunod ay aayusin mo na better luck next time, ganyan. Number 5, show authenticity. This is saying what we mean with what we say and we have to stick on to our values and principles. Sabi nga, yung taong may prinsipyo at dignidad ba. For example, in times of confrontation with parents, as teachers, we should clearly express our side with respect and sincerity while consistently upholding onto the principle and truth behind the issue in order to avoid resorting to heated argument and conflict at the end. Number 6, demonstrate empathy. When we show empathy to others, we can easily establish relationship with them. As teachers, we should reach out to students who are in their worst situation and try to understand them and feel as if we're in the same boat. Kumbaga, we should try to put ourselves into the student's shoes para para mas maunawaan natin sila or mas maintindihan natin kung ano yung nararanasan nila na parang insinuate natin sarili na ay paano ko kaya kung ako yung nasa sitwasyon nun para maintindihan natin sila. Number 7, praise others. This is by the way of acknowledging and appreciating others toward attaining self-fulfillment and building trust. For example, teachers should give acknowledgement and praise to students for their deeds that are worth commending. Sa ganoong paraan ay mabuboost yung confidence nila, aminin man natin o hindi. Tayo mga estudyante ay mas ginaganahang mag-aral kapag napupuri tayo ng teacher. Tapos, mas nagiging favorite natin paminsan yung subject na naturuan ng teacher na yun kapag nakakarinig tayo ng papuri sa guro, hindi ba? Mas tumataas yung tingin natin sa sarili natin, then iniisip natin na, I can do more than this. Number 8, give helpful feedback. Although negative feedback may hurt one's feelings, at some point it can be turned constructive for one's improvement. For example, when we receive negative feedback from our superiors, we have to take it as a challenge toward becoming a better and stronger person. Number 9, apologize. Saying sorry demonstrates humility, a quality that will naturally win others as you value the relationship more than the ego. For example, whenever we commit mistakes in teaching, whether big or small, there is nothing to lose when we apologize. Even at times, doing it may seem to be very difficult. May mga teacher kasi na inapanindigan na, ay teacher ako, kakahiyang mag-sorry pag namali ako kasi baka bumaba yung tingin sa akin ng aking estudyante, ganun. Pero sabi nga, wala naman daw mawawala kung tayo ay mag-a-apologize. Doing it may seem to be very difficult, pero at least mawiwi natin yung at masasave yung relationship natin sa other people. Kasi inavalue natin yung relationship kesa dun sa ating ego. Number 10, forgive and forget. Forgiving and forgetting prevent others from holding emotions and allowing one to move forward. For example, when a student or a colleague hurts us, we should be ready to forgive and let go of the pains that somehow caused. Number 11, keep our commitment. The habit of keeping one's word in things, either big or small, develop a strong reputation for reliability and trustworthiness. For example, when we are given tasks in the school, make sure that we commit ourselves, our time, and efforts into it. Remember, opportunities may only come once. Therefore, grab every opportunities that may come along our way, for it may never come again. Number 12, help others. One way to positively win others is through helping them, because listening to and helping them can build trust and inspire them to follow. For example, in every school activity, we have to find ways to help others accomplish their task successfully. And in return, they will be grateful to us. Ang maganda example dito ay yung sure ako na pa-practice natin as a section ng BTLED3 is yung nagatulungan kita kapag sobrang hirap ng activities, instead na mag-compete or isiping malalamangan natin yung kaklase natin, natutulungan natin silang makasurvive. At ibig sabihin lamang nun ay matured ka ng mag-isip, hindi ka na elementary kid na exposed sa competition, kundi isang adult na may perception na unity is better than competition. Saka mas nai-strengthen natin yung ating relasyon sa taong natutulungan or nakakatulong sa atin. Number 10, protect ourselves from emotional sabotage. This is being wise enough in protecting ourselves when others attempt to manipulate our emotion for personal sake. For example, when we feel that someone has been excessively or wrongly controlling our actions, feelings, and decisions in school, stop it in any right but subtle and courteous ways possible. Kumbaga, control your emotion before it controls you. Kung alam mong madidistract ka niyan, matutukso ka dyan, para hindi maabot yung goal mo, din itigil mo nang gawin ang bagay na yon. If it's prohibiting you to achieve the great things, kailangan dito ng wise decision at alamin kung alin talaga yung mas worth it na gawin at mas worth it na piliin. So, there are recommended tools in enhancing emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence can be enhanced in school with the help of the following tools and strategies. Number 1 ay yung emotional literacy workshop. Ito yung this will help teachers to communicate with students, recognize and manage emotion, and increase self-awareness. Number 2, Emotional Literacy Museum. It is a self-directed learning experience that teaches about psychology of emotion, emotional regulation, and emotional literacy. Number 3, Mixed Emotion Cards. It is a beautiful deck of tarot-like cards of feelings labeled with feelings and synonyms. Number 4, Emoticon Cards. It is an evocative, playful moon face illustrations of emotion, open-ended without labels. Number 5, Value Dots. It is a simple reminder that emotions are part of our psychology. Bingo Emotion. It is a typically classic bingo game played with emotion. Number 7, Feeling Faces. These are photos of real people and data about how survey respondents evaluated each picture. Number 8, 6 seconds emotional intelligence assessment. It provides feedback about the way one uses EQ and how to improve in this area. Number 9, the zoo animal workshop. It is an activity that intends to imitate an animal behavior and gesture that ends with reflections and group sharing. Number 10, face workshop. It is an activity in which partners face each other while showing different facial expression and qualities that ends with reflections. Number 11, the machine transformer. Parti dito nagkakaroon ng yung mayroong participants in a groups and they have to transform into an assigned machine or vehicle of which each member shall comprise different parts deemed essential and equally important that usually ends up with interactions and reflections. Number 12 is the tower building, or groups will be tasked to build a tower using pop sticks and straws. The goal is to make the tallest and strongest tower of all. This will end up with interaction, sharing, open forums, and patchings of emotional barriers. Number 13, build me a house. The participants in groups will be tasked to build a house using any available materials around them. The goal is to make the strongest house. Then the facilitator will suddenly destroy the house made by the group and observe the members' emotions and reactions and let them express their feelings and thoughts. At the end, each one will draw realization, lessons, and values for reflection. Number 14, internalization activity. This is an activity that helps participants to reflect on the narrations of the facilitator with the background music in a dim and candle-lighted room. Everyone can express his or her emotion and feelings of resentment, remorse, agony, disappointment, and sadness. Number 14 ay yung mirroring and unmasking activity. Each participant shall prepare a piece of paper and put it at his or her back in a circular formation. Everyone has to write that person's negative attitude on that paper. Everyone will be given time to see those feedbacks and reflects on them while they are also given a chance to express themselves. These negative feedbacks will be called masks to be torn off and burnt at the end of the activity, and they will be led to a prayer for a self-renewal and rejuvenation. Ten characteristics of an emotional intelligent person, ayon kay Connors 2018. The following are indicators and manifestations of an emotional intelligent person that have to be considered and demonstrated in school. Number 1 ay empathy. Yung empathy is the capacity to understand or feel what other person is experiencing from within their frame of reference. Greater Good Science Center in UC Berkeley laid down two different types of empathy. Merong affective empathy at saka cognitive empathy. Number 2 ay yung self-awareness. It is the art of understanding oneself, recognizing the stimuli that he or she faces and preparing how to manage him or herself both in a proactive and reactive manner. Number 3, curiosity. It is one's willingness to learn and improve. When one is curious, he or she is passionate and therefore or she is driven to desire to be at his or her best. Number 4, analytical mind. It pertains to being critical thinker that analyze and process all new information that comes his or her way and see if they can extract ways to improve. Number 5, belief. It is the power of believing in oneself both at present and the future. It is a matter of affirming that people and things in one's life happen for a reason and that everything will ultimately turn out to be good. Number 6, needs and wants. It is something to discern between things that one needs versus things that he or she just wants and establishing needs prior to two fulfilling ones. Number 7 is the passion. It is the natural desire, instinct, drive, ambition, and motivated love for a subject or someone. More so, it brings positive energy that helps sustain and inspire one to keep going. Number 8, optimism. It is about maintaining a positive attitude that may increase one's opportunities, improve relationship, and think clearly and constructively. Number 9, adaptability. It is an important recognition and the ability to make or remake decision in one's best interest. It is also determining when to continue his or her course or when is the time for a change. Number 10, desire to help others to succeed. It is becoming interested and appreciative of the success and achievement of others. That's all, and the people skill will be reported by Miss Mayri Sevilla. Thank you and God bless.